Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the PML Wrestling Show. It's Tuesday. It's 7 o'clock. We're on FB Live. So you know it's the PML crew. Rich Lopez, Homeboy Malloy, Robert Price is always with us. Steve on that Lose the Radio, making us look and sound as good as we can. We'll see what happens. But how you guys doing?
Dude, I'm doing good, man. Living. Livin. Living. How are you?
Oh, nice, man. I like that spelling. I'm chilling, man. I had that extended weekend. Shitty weather. What are you gonna do? That's NEPA for you. You know what I mean? Can't really control that. But have some family time, baby time with the family, which is always cool. Some vino, some mixed drinks, some. I didn't do beer. What was it? It was this Arnold Palmer Spike, baby.
Whew.
So yeah, good food, grilled food, good drinks, family time. That's pretty much how it was for me. So I'm not living like you. I'm just alive, I guess. You know what I mean? How's your weekend though, man? How's your extended weekend?
Dude, it was good, man. Was out playing the bagpipes Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So,
Dang, you guys are
does
making
a
up for
lot of.
those 2 years, huh?
Yeah. So, trying to make some
Yeah.
extra cheddar. So, we were out doing that. Played Wilkes graduation. They had multiple graduations because of the COVID.
The video.
So, funny story. I was late to the last one on Saturday.
Is it
Nothing out of the
really? Would
ordinary.
you? Would you really be Tom Malloy if you weren't late to your own stuff?
Right? So I was walking down South Franklin Street because that's where we were playing in Wilkes-Barre for all you Wilkes-Barrians. And the graduating class of Wilkes is like coming out, and the band starts. All you hear is like the pipe master screams something. The drums are going, and they're
Yeah.
like, "You gotta wait for this guy." They did not wait, so I threw my drum over my head and ran down South Main Street. And then when they got to the Wilkes graduation area because we played like a parade, I
Mhm.
got a round of applause. They're like, "Yeah, that's the guy." And then I was like, "Yeah, I'm training for my first 5K." And everyone laughed. No one took me seriously.
I take you seriously, man. Even though you're a funny dude and you're always late, you just rub that comedy on. You're a comedian. You're a comic guy. I like it. I like it. But I mean, yeah, you're always gonna be late. You're late to your own wedding. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. If I was driving down South of Franklin and I just saw you running down with the drum, I would have recorded you. I ain't gonna lie to you.
I wish someone. I probably some. There was about 300 college kids there. I'm sure I was a lot of stories that day. Man
Yeah,
in
that's
kilt with drum over his head, running as fast as he possibly could down South Franklin Street in Wilkes-Barre. And
that's legit, dude.
I didn't even miss. Like I
You've
was,
been
I
on
was off by like
Barstool.
3 steps.
That you're good. You're a good musician. You know what I mean? What are you sipping on, real quick, Molly?
Oh, dude, the Sam Adams Summerfest.
Okay, good.
Yeah, dude, it's great. I won a flowered shirt at a competition at this local beer store that I do not work for.
Tropical Tom, baby.
Yeah.
He's got the material.
So I
He's
got a new
got
work
it.
shirt for the beer super. I got a flowered shirt. It says Sam Adams right here. Little spot to keep my pens. I mean,
Okay,
you know,
I like it.
when,
I like it.
when I'm
Steve,
keeping
how's
it
your
business
weekend, man?
casual.
Oh, my bad. I didn't mean to cut you off, Tom.
Pretty good.
Our homeboy. Steve, you flew in. You came to the NEPA region. Sorry you were. I know you've been here many times, but this time had some shitty weather, so I apologize because that flight ain't no joke. But how's your weekend?
Other than it would have been better if I was a duck. With all the rain you guys got up there, but it
Oh
was
yeah,
great. It was great to come out and see everybody in that area and take in the beauty of your state. When I first time I ever went to the NEPA area, my buddy said everyone says, "Oh, this is God's country. This is God's." It's more like Bob Ross country because y'all got trees upon trees upon trees upon trees and valley. It's beautiful country. I love it every time I'm out there.
yeah, man. If you want to become an artist, dude, you come to the NEPA region. You paint all this shit. For your boy that has a lot of allergies, though, this is probably one of the worst areas, I would say. Dude, me and my daughter just waking up. My daughter's 2 months old officially yesterday. Just waking up sneezing together as a tandem. I'm like, yes, you got those genetics, baby. You got that sneezing. You got that pollen genetics. It's crazy. Steve, what are you sipping on? Anything?
Tequila Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. I've got the margarita with the Bush Latte Chaser.
Ooh, man. Celebrating that post Memorial Day. I like it. I like it. I like it. And you got your show after this, right? DGen X?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Cool. So if you guys want to stay on loserradio, facebook.com/loserradio, you got DGenX following us. And with all that stuff, let's get started. Real quick, actually, one more question for Malloy. I just thought about it. Malloy, I know your due date for Mackenzie is 2 days away. I thought it was
Yeah.
4 days away, but it's actually 2 days away. Are you in the stage how I was with the show? Like, do you have your phone on like not? You have it on like a ringer. You don't have it on vibrate.
It's
All
on.
right, good.
Ready to go.
I'll make sure. Because like I said, that last week, even maybe 2 weeks out, it's a little, hey, if I get that call during the show, I'm out. You know what I mean? So if you just run out the door, I'm not gonna be mad at you. Go do your parental duties. You know what I mean? No, so yeah, we're just pretty much gonna just go with the flow on today's episode. If you guys have any questions, we are on live right now, so don't be afraid to post. We're on Facebook. I mean, if you guys maybe make a post on Instagram, I could probably check it out real quick. And then Twitter, obviously the same thing. So we're on at PML Show, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And then if you guys are missing the show today, you have a friend telling you something about it, we're on Spotify on Wednesday mornings, YouTube Thursday mornings. So definitely tell your friends, family about us, and keep following. And we appreciate the support. So Moy had a good thing. And this is actually a good topic. We could even do this with AEW and WWE. You brought up Double or Nothing took place on Sunday, and it was Sunday, right? Not Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, it was Sunday. Sunday was the pay-per-view.
That's right, Sunday. And then I was like, yeah, obviously didn't pay for it. Didn't even watch clips like I usually do. And you asked, do you think it still has the same impact? Do you think AEW's like, I don't know if you meant the product or you meant like the special events / pay-per-views, if it has the same impact like it did probably the first year of its existence. Obviously, we're in year 2. So before I answer, I want to hear your thoughts because you're the one who asked me about it. So I wanted to hear your thoughts. Do you think it has the same impact, whether it's just the weekly television, the production, like I said, special events, pay-per-view? What do you think?
Honestly, dude, I think that it's not as cool as I guess like it once was.
Yeah.
Actually, 2 years ago, I was actually in a craft brew bar in Jersey, and I like all these TVs. Like I walked into 2 different bars in that neighborhood, and they both had on Double or Nothing, and I thought that was cool. I was like, man, this is something. Like a bar has a pay-per-view, and there's not that many people there. There was like maybe 5 or 7 guys just sitting at the bar, all wearing like their wrestling T-shirts, all indie wrestling T-shirts. I was like, this is really cool, and I'm like, this is gonna be the start of something. And then I just feel like, I don't know. I think the pandemic ruined it for me. I'm just not into it like I was. The AEW product, like it's good. They have good segments, but I think it's just comparable to a Raw or SmackDown show. It's like not blowing WWE out of the water, in my opinion.
I wanted to get your thoughts on, because the one thing I did see, I mean, I follow them on Instagram, so I'll see like an entrance of Double or Nothing, or I'll see like a spot of a match in Double or Nothing. Obviously, one of the things that was, I guess, an impactful thing on Sunday at Double or Nothing was Mark Henry made his debut.
Yeah.
And so right now, if you're thinking about past talent from WWE, whether they were pushed, not pushed, over the hill, so to speak, professional wise, obviously they're still young. But now you have Big Show, Jericho, Miro, who used to be Rusev, Mark Henry, Matt Hardy. Even though Matt Hardy, well, I guess Matt Hardy was always WWE, but he kind of made his name from Impact as Broken Matt Hardy. But so like Mark Henry going there, does it really sway the needle? Because to me, it doesn't. I know he's more of a broadcaster, not obviously a talent, but I'm assuming he's going to be more of a broadcaster / backstage producer, agent, creative writer. So, like, what are your thoughts on him? Because I know he is getting in good shape. So I actually thought he was going to do one final match on his terms in WWE. Maybe he does it in AEW, but I don't know who he goes against. And what do you think his role is going to be?
Yeah, I don't know. On his show Busted Open, he really puts over like the AEW card. He puts a lot more negative of what he doesn't like in WWE, so I'm not surprised that we see him go there. Because I just think WWE right now is like has this new generation thing going on. It's very like 1994, 1995-ish, where they have like their 2 top guys. They're good with them. They don't really need the stars from the past to help them out right now. Like only people I see coming in from the past, like Randy Orton keeps showing up, a Cena, a Rock, a Triple H. but that's really it. Maybe a Brock Lesnar, but I don't see like the usefulness, I guess, of the stars of like 2009, 2010, who were like the headliners, i.e., Big Show, Mark Henry. Even Rusev had a big run 2012, like 2014. Uh, so a lot of those guys that are down there in AEW, I just think they're just like, I guess, second rate WWE guys from the past,
Yeah.
or people who just didn't have like they didn't get their push, like JR would say. So
This
pretty like to me, pretty much, I could see Mark Henry tagging up with Big Show, man. I could see them having that. I could see those two having a match together for the 1,000th time. I don't know. I'm not too keen on AEW's booking, honestly. Unless like I could see like Mark Henry going up against like Brian Cage. He's a big dude, strong dude. I could see him going up against I really don't know who else is even there. Cody. I think some good matches with Cody.
I think Cody can go with anybody.
But I don't really see and who's I don't know who the other guy is in
Christian's
Taz.
the other guy. Christian was the other guy I was thinking of too.
Yeah, Christian. I mean, Christian had a good match on the show. I mean, he got some respect through Jungle Boy. He passed it down to him like being the wildly vet kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think Christian, I think Big Show, I think Mark Henry, those guys are there. I mean, Christian did have an incredible run in TNA. Don't get me wrong. So I think he could still, like, if he's able to handle the creative, I think he's able to have a good run. And he still has some good matches with them. I would love to see Christian versus Kenny Omega, Christian versus Cody. I wouldn't mind seeing a Samoa Joe show up there because he's been used better.
Joe's when I'm going.
What's that?
And like, listen, Samoa Joe's the only one for me. I'm glad that Rusev went. I'm happy that he went. And it looks like he's starting to finally get his push, thank God, with the TNT title. But Samoa Joe's the only one that's currently not on the roster. And obviously from the WWE roster, that if he were to go over, it's like, yes. Because he was just so misused, whether it was injury related or personal related, whatever. Like the time that he was taken off for active competition in WWE, I feel like he could just generate that into great promos and all that kind of stuff onto AEW. And plus, like you said, the talent there matches better for me with Samoa Joe than it would with a Mark Henry or Big Show.
Yeah, because too, even like they kind of gave you could really compare Samoa Joe's run to like Taz's run. They start him off hot, and like Samoa Joe had some great matches with Lesnar, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. I think he had a little few with Kevin Owens. They had matches together. AJ Styles, so I mean, to me, it's just like, and then it was just like, all right, you're gonna be in the commentary booth.
Yeah,
because you have,
which by the way has been the best commentator in the last 2 years, and then for some reason they let him go, and then they hire somebody from ESPN for 7 weeks, and he's already gone. And that's the other thing.
Guy.
Yeah, Jimmy Smith, I think his name was.
Yeah, he was an MMA commentator.
I don't care what he was. It's the most basic name. A, B. I don't know, man. It's just such a carousel that I think that's the one thing I would see. AEW has no impact for me. I think WWE honestly has no impact for me because I was actually thinking today, as we were talking in the pre-production, in my head, I'm like, where the hell is it? When's Hell in the Cell? I don't even know what it is.
Next week, I think.
I know it's in June. That's the only thing I know. And
sometime this month.
Yeah, sometime in June of 2021. That's all I know. But like, that's the thing too. So like, obviously playoff basketball is on, so I don't really follow. I follow wrestling, I should say. I don't want to say I don't, because obviously we do the show. But like, I'll always go back to old stuff. And like, I don't know if it was me growing up with it. Maybe it was. And like, it's simpler times. All I had to do was watch wrestling and have fun, right? But even now, it's just like, all right, when I want to relax, I'll put on an old wrestling match, old wrestling pay-per-view to relax. And like, that's the thing. Like, I watched like SummerSlams in a row. Like, I would take a nap or whatever, and the next one would be on. So like SummerSlam 2000, like, I knew the commentary team. I knew like the matches were, yes, obviously there's some shitty booking, especially with the females, and that obviously the material doesn't really age well. But like, there's something about the pay-per-views that they're memorable. Like whether it was a commentary team or it was a promo or it was a match, it's memorable. I cannot tell you like a memorable match, honestly, outside of WrestleMania 37. And the only reason why is because it was the first time in a year and a half that there was a crowd.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, it's just right now. I feel like it's just, they're trying to come back to like I guess normal life, but I think wrestling was better this time last year. Honestly.
I think the wrestling product. I agree with that. I agree. Like, and it sucks because it'll probably be a forgotten year. You know what I mean? Like even McIntyre's run. I think McIntyre's getting over pushed now. He's going into that Roman Reigns, 2015 to 2018 run right now. But his first title run was so good, but it's just going to be overlooked because there was no crowds. You know what I mean? But
Because I think the
again,
perfect commentator team now, going back to that quick, because of how kind of snafu that was over the last couple of weeks, is honestly Byron Saxton and Corey Graves. They're a great commentary booth, and then just put Jerry the King Lawler in there from time to time, or even
yeah,
just
well,
Michael Cole and Graves is really good. I don't think
yeah, it
Michael Cole's
is.
past his prime yet.
No,
Mike. So
McAfee's not bad.
yeah, he's
That
not, and
McAfee's
he
not
actually
bad.
likes the product. He really likes the
Oh yeah,
product.
he's a
So
wrestling fan. Obviously, he was in NXT. He's a huge wrestling fan. I honestly like. I'm not really a big Byron Saxton fan, even though I don't think he's bad. I just don't. I don't know. It's just I don't. I just don't like him, like his voice or something. It's pretty much like me when I talk. I hate my voice. But I will say, like on Raw, the best or at least most consistent commentating team in regards to chemistry, continuity, selling the match or selling the their stuff throughout the show was Tom Phillips, who they just released, Corey Graves, and Byron Saxton. Like those three, like the 3-man team, which I'm not really a fan of outside of like WCW for some reason. That
yeah,
actually wasn't bad to me. I don't know what the hell's going on now. To be fair, I didn't give Jimmy Smith a chance because I didn't really hear much of him yesterday. But I will see what happens. But I know when they had Adnan and Verk, who I'm actually a fan of. Like he has a good show. He had a good show on ESPN. I don't know what the hell happened. He was garbage at WWE. So I don't know if he just didn't know the product or if he actually liked the product, but he couldn't deal with Vince talking to him in his ear. I don't know because that's obviously happened before with Mick Foley. But whatever it was, it just didn't translate from ESPN because I did like his show to WWE. So I just hope that I just want some more memorable content, right? Like we'll see what happens at the end of the 2021 because obviously SummerSlam's coming up in August. It's going to be in Vegas, and I think that's going to be the start of like full throttle live events. Obviously, they're starting in July to kind of build up to SummerSlam, but I think that's going to be more of like let's ease our way back into travel and ease our way back into the product. I think once SummerSlam's over, it's going to be like full bore Survivor Series, Rumble, Mania.
yeah, I think so too. And I think they said for SummerSlam, I caught this like right before the show. They're going to have 65,000 people for SummerSlam.
That's beautiful. That's
Yeah,
that's awesome.
that's a great thing to me, man. I'm really looking forward to that, and
Yeah.
I'm really hoping the main event is Cena versus Roman. I would love that.
I think so. I think this is the time too, because like obviously this will be a year going into Reigns' title reign. That I hope you start to get some big name feuds. Yes, he had a good feud with Daniel Bryan. The Edge one because of Daniel Bryan could have been bigger, and it still might be bigger. I mean, Edge is coming back. I think the first SmackDown how like live crowd, so we'll see what happens there. Maybe that's the SummerSlam match. But I do want to start seeing like Reigns versus Brock, or Reigns versus Cena, or Reigns versus Edge, Reigns versus Rock. Like, I agree with you. Like, I think it's time for that to kind of start happening now. Because unfortunately, I don't think Lashley's at that level yet to have big matches like that. I don't think McIntyre's there yet. I think they're both about maybe a year away. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the only comparison I can really see for Lashley is Lashley versus Lesnar, because to me that's just two physical brutes going at it who are both fighters. They both have that strong, I guess you would say, real style to them for both being cage fighters at one point in time.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a good highlight match on the Raw brand, and then just bringing Cena back for that. I think that's pretty cool. Uh, so that's something I'm looking forward to. Is definitely SummerSlam. Uh, we have to watch it at either my house or your house. I don't care what you say, unless you're
Oh no,
dying.
no, we agree. Thank you. I'm glad that's the exception. And same to you, by the way. Hopefully, you're not dying that we can get together for that. Yeah, because our children should be what? Sierra will be 5 months. Mackenzie will be
About two.
2.5 months. So yeah, I mean It's definitely doable. You know what I mean? So we'll definitely see
Yeah,
what
they can
happens
hang
there.
out. Maybe they won't want to hang out because
They'll
at
want to hang
times
out, but they won't know what the hell they're staring at. I mean, they'll be staring
they'll be
at,
like, "What are you? Are
especially
you what I
Mackenzie.
am?"
Her eyesight's gonna be like a foot,
She
like
can
a
be
foot
like,
away.
"Are you blob? Blob,
Yeah, exactly.
right?"
Especially your boy. You're looking at me like, God dang, bro, what happened to you? No, but the other thing too, real quick, of AEW is that they really butchered their product with the endings of some matches. It's literally, to quote Parks and Rec, Rob Lowe, it's literally WCW all over again, dude. Like I watch end of the show clips, or like the what Full Gear? What was it? Full Gear? What was it? All in,
Whatever.
all out.
Yeah, all in.
Well,
Yeah, their
the one with
second biggest show of the
Omega,
year.
yeah, Omega and Moxley. Like, dude, I literally see that ending, and it's like that is literally WCW 2000 or
Yeah,
WCW even 97 when they were at the highest. They would just always mess up the ending, whether it was timing or whatever, production or execution, and like that sucks. I mean, I can't even imagine being a wrestler on the show.
yeah,
Can't
like
even imagine Omega and Moxley. Like, if you're those two busting your ass doing that death match, and then that's the ending, I'd be like, I don't even want to be on the show for the next 2 months because I want nobody to think of me. If you go on that show on Thursday, you're gonna just be brought back that memory. Like, I would just want to be gone for 2 months.
yeah, because the worst is too. It's like then you have a promo I watched. I think it was last week or the week before when I was watching AEW. Omega's like making fun of Kingston about that match.
Yeah,
So to me, that's like I was watching. So I'm like, this is literally straight WCW stuff because
yeah,
like they want to blur the lines and they want. No, we all know what wrestling is. Don't
exactly.
don't don't make it more foolish than what it could be at times. And
Well, that
especially you're the main guy, and that's a guy you're in a feud with. So not only are you crediting that wrestler, you're discrediting yourself because you're putting yourself in there, and you were in that same match.
well, that's the thing too. It's like the one thing I do like about AEW, and I wish that I mean, they make it like a more of a, at least when it comes to the events, like Tony Khan will come out and do like a press conference at the end. It's very similar to like what Oscar De La Hoya would do in boxing, or Don King would used to do in boxing, and then obviously what Dana White does in UFC now. So like he'll come out, do a press conferences, makes it seem like it's a real event. Obviously it is a real event, but like that was the thing too. It's like when after that match, it sucks. Like you could tell he wants to be truthful by saying like, yeah, we kind of underperformed due to the fire marshals. But then he's also like, yeah, but Kenny Omega's the one who drew it up, so like maybe he was doing that for mind games. It's like, all right, well, you gotta take your pick, bro. Like, just say, I wouldn't even have said the fire marshal thing. I mean, I would say that maybe to like actual executives that want to know what the hell happened. But like when it comes to like the press where you're trying to blur the lines, just say, Omega was a champion. He was in charge of the design of this, and he wanted to, you know, do a little mind games at the end of the match. In case it was him, it was a shitty, execution. He ended up winning, so who cares? But like you
Yeah,
kind of read it when you say like, oh, the fire marshals and all the guidelines in the arena, blah blah blah. It's just I don't know. Like I mean, and that's the thing too. Like I hate being like that nerd nitty picky dude, but like when you always bring up WWE saying, "Oh, I'm not going to compete with WWE," but then you take their talent or whatever, it's like, all right, you obviously are. A, B, like don't make excuses for f ups. Like own it. Say, hey, this is year two. This is year two only of our company. We're still starting from the ground up. We got a lot of work to do. Don't just say, oh, hey, like yeah, we effed up, but hey, do you see WWE? They do double count out finishes and extend
zombies.
storyline for 4 months, and they do zombies. Like, who cares? Like, I don't understand it. So I do hope they get better because I think the roster is good. I know you mentioned earlier, and I kind of agree with you. I think their booking is kind of fell off a little bit the last year. Not year. The last 3 to 4 months. Like the only person I could think of getting pushed like kind of right now Miro now, but was like Darby Allin. I feel like he was like the flag bearer outside of Omega for like 2 months straight, maybe even 3 months. Um, so Allen's getting pushed. I think Miro's finally getting pushed. The Pinnacle Inner Circle is kind of iffy with me. Like, I don't know what they're doing with that. I wish that kind of had a resolution. That's very similar to WWE booking, where there's like 6 months of the same feud. You know what I mean? Like, same thing with McIntyre and Lashley. It's like, all right, hopefully this is the last match with them. Like, it's literally going on from February to June. Like, it's got to stop. It's definitely got to stop.
Yeah, I agree. And the worst is too. It's just like it is such WWE or WCW esque because WCW would have these great mid card matches like the TNT title because
Yeah.
a lot when Cody had it, when Brody Lee had it, their dog collar match was a very good match for having 10 fans in the arena.
Yeah.
And you know a lot of those guys, even when what's his name with the skateboard, Darby Allin had it. He did a good job. He was entertaining.
Right.
Miro's entertaining. So
Yep.
the mid card guys, i.e. the cruiserweights in WCW, they're the guys leading the show, and then your world championship, it's like it's kind of a hodgepodge. Because even like watching the promos going into it, Orange Cassidy very hot because of Jericho. Pac, whatever. He's there. He's on the cusp. He was a good sleeper pick, I think, for that match. But
Yeah.
at the same time, man, it's just like, man, like I was confused watching that as the person trying to be entertained by it. So as a viewer, so it's like at times it's like, you dog on the other guy, but you guys aren't really all there either. And
Exactly.
And I like the realism of it. I like that their one move is called the Young Bucks one move is called the Meltzer Driver. That's cool. Get that stuff out there where like the indie fans and the wrestling fans are like, yeah, do that stuff. It's cool.
Yeah.
But at the same point in time, you're like, oh man, this kind of sucks.
Yeah. No. 100%.
And Kenny Omega's supposed to be the best wrestler in the world, and I don't agree with that.
I think he's exiting his prime.
Top 5.
Yeah, I think I'll still put him in the top 5. And that's what I was going to kind of go with too. After what you're saying, like, yeah, the main events are kind of, especially the end of the main events. Like the whole match is good. Where WWE or WCW was like the whole match was awful, and the ending just made it even worse. These matches are good. The endings are just awful. And the thing that sucks about it too is like if you want to compare this to WCW, like we're doing, it's like Omega is the best. Like he's better than Hogan, Luger, Goldberg, Giant. Like even at that era, like he's better than Flair in the late '90s. You know what I mean? Like Savage, he's better than every WCW champion during the Eric Bischoff era, to me. And it's like they're still dropping the ball with him. Like you have somebody there that has the appeal and the wrestling ability, and you're still dropping the ball with him in a booking or production level. It's definitely like I don't know how much of an input Omega has or Cody has, blah blah blah. But if they don't have any input, then I feel bad for them. If they do have input on it, they need to like wake up and just do what Omega was doing in New Japan because that's what worked. That's what got them over to the U.S. Right? Like that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, because I think the belt collector thing works. It brings a lot of new talent into the fray with that AEW, the AAA. Like, I mean, Andrade, if he has a good match against Kenny Omega on AAA, we'll probably be seeing him in AEW. Because I think that's like Kenny Omega being champion and going through all the territories and stuff. To me, that's wrestling. You're going out there and he's scouting for the best. It's kind of like what Ric Flair did when he was NWA champion. Because you were on a board with a bunch of other people who were riding the shows and seeing who was next and everything else. So I think it's a great concept, and that's one of the best things they have on their show is the availability to say, hey, I'm going to go on TNA next week. Hey, I'm going to go to AAA next week. Hey, we have New Japan guys coming in. And that's like showing me, just the American viewer, there's so much more than just WWE and even AEW for that matter, because honestly, dude, I don't know anything about AAA. I don't know really that much about Japanese wrestling besides the WWE guys that were there. So it's to me, it's like, that's cool because imagine if you were able to do that with the NWA in the 70s and the 80s, where you're able to see Ric Flair wrestle in Japan for an hour, wrestle in, Korea for an hour, wrestle in, Macon, Georgia, then go see him wrestle in Canada. Now, would we enjoy it because he probably did the same match every time? It is what it is. But at the same point in time, just seeing that different cache of talent. You know, you would see the Hearts up there, see Inoki in
Dusty in
Japan, like
Florida.
it's crazy. Yeah,
Dusty in Florida. Yeah. No, I completely get it. But I will say the belt collector thing is cool too because Omega, it's the first time that I feel like they've done it in the States with a name. So like I don't know if you remember like WCW, like Ultimo Dragon did it, but he was
yeah.
a cruiserweight. Nobody followed that shit. You know what I mean?
No one
Also,
cared
it
about
was
your
like
junior heavyweight title at your third league wrestling school. Like no one cared about that.
yeah, it was just crazy. And then on top of it, back in the '90s, it was hard to follow like every promotion. Now it's a little bit easier. So if you want to like watch his match at New Japan, all right, you could just go on YouTube and try to find it. You know what I mean? Like after it's done, or if he's going to AAA, you could watch that match on YouTube the next day. Where in the '90s, it was very very hard to like. All right, Ultimo Dragon has 8 belts. When's he defending the 7th belt? Like it was just so hard to figure that out. You know what I mean? Plus, he's not even a big name in WCW. Like, he wasn't a cruiserweights, but everybody knows the cruiserweights are marketable. So, and then the other one I think was Lance Storm, but Lance Storm really wasn't a big name. You know what I mean? Like he was starting to in WCW, but then they went out of business, so like he really couldn't really like capitalize on it. So like Omega's the first one to me that, granted, it's only what 3 belts, so it's not like it's 8 or 9 like they usually do. But you never know; it might get to like 4 or 5. But he's actually the name that can maybe pull this territory esque champion campaign like you mentioned, and it could work. You never know. But that also might be the way that they could differentiate from WWE and pull off. All right, the production might not be there, which is what I usually try to follow outside of the
Yeah,
wrestling aspect. But if it's good wrestling, like Okada, Omega, and New Japan at Wrestle Kingdom, I'm gonna watch it, right? Like, granted, I think New Japan's production is way better than AEW, by the way. But even if it was at the level thing, like the wrestling for me, as much as I felt like I like the production, the wrestling's gonna take over for me because I'm just a fan of it. So like,
what do you think with that NWA? You think because they already had that connection before and that belt's out there? You know, that'd be cool.
I would like for them to do that.
Because I'd rather see, you know, I'd rather see Nick Aldis versus Kenny Omega instead of Pac and
Agreed.
Orange Cassidy because they're great guys and Pac I think could be a world champion if the storyline was correct.
I
Instead
would like
of
it to
just
be a
being
TNT first.
yeah, and Orange Cassidy unfortunately it's a gimmick that's cool. I think it's entertaining, but he's not world champion material. Even if he won, I'd be like, he looks like me wrestling Chris Jericho. And I shouldn't wrestle Chris Jericho.
You mean size wise?
Yeah, so even size, but if he was jacked, like that, I get like he doesn't care. That's why, and but at the same point in time, it's like, all right, dude, if you want to get to the next level, you got to do something about that gimmick. And we're gonna talk about gimmicks later on in the show. And if anyone who's watching wants to talk about gimmicks that failed, gimmicks that worked, ask us a question in our chat. We'll be gladly to answer them. You could catch us on Facebook, Lose the Radio. Lopez knows the rest of our stuff because I don't. You can catch it on Twitter, not Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
And
Just search
Twitter.
PML Wrestling Show. Search Spotify. Give us all the views. I click on it about 100 times a week. Not really, but I should. So yeah, that's that.
Should.
But yeah. But Kenny Omega versus Nick Aldis, make it happen.
I completely agree with that. And the Orange Cassidy thing, it's very similar to like what WWE would do with like gimmicks that came over from other territories. Like I actually just watched the Booker T biography from A&E, which is actually really good. If you haven't checked it out. But like that's the thing. Like, yeah, he delivered as like Booker T, the wrestler. Like he obviously got thrown in with The Rock and Austin. But then if you notice, and I always notice this too because I kind of did with AJ. They always put you in like a mid card level. They'll give you like a 2-month push, then they'll give you 2-month main event push, that is, and then they'll give you like a year and a half of mid card to where you can like get a new dynamic to your gimmick or to your character. They might not change the gimmick per se, but like Booker T came over right as WCW champion, had the feud with The Rock, had the feud with Austin, went back down to mid card. And then he started doing stuff with Goldust. Became like gave him that new element of comedy, but it could also be serious. AJ did the same exact thing. You know what I mean? Like AJ came in, he had a push with Jericho. Then he came in with Reigns for I think a match or two, and then all of a sudden he gets put with Cena and the face that runs the place. It gave him like a new thing. Then he became champion. You know what I mean? Like it's just stuff like that. You kind of get that with a lot. I'm trying to think of other things per se. Like they kind of did it with CM Punk. Like CM Punk came in for at least the ECW brand. Like he did it. Then he fell off, did the Straight Edge Society. Then he became champion because like that Straight Edge Society gave him a new thing to his character. It added a new element. It gave him a new look with what the hell is her name?
Oh, the
I don't
girl
know
with
her
the
name.
shaved head.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's gonna drive me nuts. Selena?
Or something
I
like
don't
that.
know
I'm
what
gonna
it
look
was.
it up quick.
Yeah, and then Gallows. Like just giving you an extra person just gives you that different look. You're getting that now with AJ again with Amos. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
or Omos, Amos. Like it's just stuff like that they do. Orange Cassidy has been the same thing for the last year and change, which I like the gimmick, but like you said, if you want to elevate yourself, you gotta do something a little different. But we'll see what happens with that because
Serena.
maybe
Her name is Serena.
Arena was off by a letter.
But the
But
way I
yeah,
look
let's
at that
actually
too, but the way I look at it too is just like Orange Cassidy is like Disco Inferno, man. Disco Inferno was never gonna be world champion, TV
that's the
champion.
thing, yeah. Fandango, yeah, same thing.
So
Completely agree with you. Well, I mean, luckily that's the thing. Luckily, if the advice is given at the right time by the right people, you have Mark Henry there who's worked with Vince since 1996. You have Big Show that's been there working with Vince since 1999. Granted, they're not going to mimic Vince because you don't want to make AEW exactly WWE, but they'll at least give you advice. Hey, on your character, you should tweak this. You should try this. Blah blah blah. Jericho's obviously really really smart, and I think at above everybody has the credibility to tell people because look how many times he's done different things and it's all worked. There's
yeah,
really not one time where it didn't work. You know what I mean? So I do think that everybody over in AEW is in good hands. I just don't know what it is that, like you said, it's lacked its lust. It's the luster's been lacked a little bit. Maybe it is the COVID, like you said. Like once COVID came, like you're kind of losing interest in who's the hottest thing. You know what I mean? All I know is that Darby Allin, when he was TNT champion, wasn't bad. You know what I mean? That's the only thing I really kind of know, and I know Miro's on his way right now too. So we'll see what
yeah. I'm
happens.
looking forward to see what they do with the actual crowd. I think maybe it really is that crowd involvement.
I
You know,
agree.
you could pipe in the stuff, but if you're not seeing the signs, seeing the people go nuts in the crowd, like I don't think that gets me, the fan, sitting at home behind the person. But
Completely agree.
what we were going to talk about next was we were going to look at gimmicks. This week we
Yeah.
saw the Godfather Charles Wright sit down with Steve Austin. It was a good. Did you check that out yet or no?
I did not. I have it on my watch list. I was gonna watch it at 12 o'clock last night because I was up, but I was dozing off, so I was like, I'll just put on. I think I got SummerSlam '01 on.
It's
So,
it's definitely worth the watch to stay up and actually watch it through.
oh
I
yeah, I'm
thought it
probably
was
gonna watch
really
it.
good.
The Lakers game's on tonight, so I'll probably watch it tomorrow.
Yeah, after you watch some, you know how you think it is.
Yeah.
Good show. It's cool to see like where he came from, how he really never needed wrestling to pay his bills, which was interesting.
No.
Uh,
That
and how
Vegas
like when
lifestyle, bro.
yeah, he owned a couple clubs. He was in a motorcycle gang. He was the
Yep.
only dude of color in the motorcycle gang. I thought that was cool. How he just had like mad respect, and the people like would always say like, if anyone said derogatory term, they just beat them up. Like
Yeah,
that to me is
and
just
that's the thing too. He's a big dude,
yeah.
bro. Very big dude. I don't know if it was on the show. I did see a YouTube clip because I know sometimes they'll do like sneak peeks or like teasers. And he talked about bringing back Papa Shango, which I already read about. I read about this a couple years ago. He was supposed to bring Papa Shango back in I think 97, 98, and it was like a different look. And like he's actually like ripped up in it. Like he's in shape compared to
Yeah.
like what he was with like Kama. Was that on the actual show or was it just on like a YouTube exclusive?
Yeah, no, they talked about that, and Steve Austin's like, dude, that would have been awesome. Like, you could have,
Yeah.
it would have worked. You probably would have feuded with Austin
That's
Taker,
yeah.
and pretty much he's like, yeah, he goes, I want it in Vince's office, and he's like, well, remember that Godfather thing you told me about? We're gonna do that, or no,
Yeah,
it was a nation. It was a nation. He's like,
yeah.
oh, you're gonna be added to the nation. You're gonna team with Farouk. He's like, you keep doing what you're doing. He's like, we really just got to get The Rock over. And then after that, because I mean, if you look at the nation itself, all 5 guys had a decent run.
Decent run. They could all work, dude. Like
Yeah.
Farouk, granted, his promos weren't the best because his voice was so deep, but good worker, and he was getting heat as the leader. Yeah, The
And
Rock
you're
up and
always
coming.
gonna remember this though too. Damn. Like
That's true. Yeah, that was more acolytes, but I agree. Like,
Yeah.
he obviously once he found the niche to like say less, be more impactful, he obviously knocked it out the park. But yeah, obviously have The Rock in that, and then D'Lo Brown, which I mean, granted, I've always been a big D'Lo fan, but I actually just watched SummerSlam '98's match with him and Val Venus, and it's like, yo, when he was a European champion, he was over, like, because he would pick a different place every week, like from Europe, you know what I mean? And it was just so cool, you know what I mean? So like that nation, obviously they wanted to break it up, make Farouk a face, which didn't work, but it would have been kind of cool to see if maybe they extended that like another 4 to 5 months, what would have happened with everybody. Because I think everybody under Farouk's wing, Kamo was already kind of like a veteran, but like obviously like Mark Henry, who was in that group, Rock and D'Lo, like those three, they probably learned a shitload from those two. I mean, mainly Farouk, but Kamo was also a vet too, so they probably learned a lot from him too.
and like even like Austin's like, oh, were you like riding with these guys? He's like, no, but we learned so
Yeah,
much from Farouk. He's like, when you just come into work and you just like, there's that one guy you talk to at work that's always giving you advice, helping you out. But he's like, at the end of the day, he's like, Farouk's thing was lifting weights. Rock's thing was lifting weights. But Rock wanted to be alone. He goes, me, I wanted to go out and party with the boys at like strip clubs. Like that's what he's saying. And he's like, that's what I did. He's like, D'Lo and Mark would float. That's like they did, one or the other. So that's kind of cool to see. Like, it wasn't like Austin's story where he was picking someone's brain in a car or Triple H's.
yeah,
It's kind of like you're at work, man, and you're just learning how to do it. You're on like you're on. It's like
yeah.
on
Well,
the job training versus just like, you know, you're so into this that your whole life's consumed by it. Where these guys, it kind of wasn't to an extent where it was, but it wasn't. Like you
yeah.
look at Mark Henry, he always had aspirations to get back to the Olympics. D'Lo, I don't know
I
if he
think
was a
D'Lo was
hundred.
I think
What?
D'Lo was a hundred. I think the D'Lo and the Rock were like the hundos.
Yeah,
But I think The Rock was a hundo to get to the next level. I think D'Lo was just a wrestler.
yeah, I think so
If that
too.
makes
Because I
sense.
mean, if you look at D'Lo, when I guess like he did like the New Jack story, like where he first involved with him and everything else. He's just a wrestler's wrestler, D'Lo. I mean, he's
And
still in the business
he was an
today.
accountant, dude. That's why I think he was a wrestler. Like that's why I say he's 100% because he was an accountant.
He lost a lot
I
of
don't know,
money probably in his life.
probably lost a
Probably made it
lot of
back
money.
now, but yeah,
But yeah, can you imagine the sacrifice he did like the first 2 years? And he was also like 400, like 350, and he lost. He went from like all the way down to like 270 or something like that. It's
yeah.
crazy. Like so, the dedication that he had was awesome. But it is kind of cool, like with the gimmicks that worked, didn't work. Yeah, I feel like everybody kind of forgets about like. Now, granted, Kama really did the Supreme Fighting Machine didn't really work out as much, but like Papa Shango could have worked. That had a lot of potential. I think that was more booking, but like it is cool to see how people just go, all right, you're gonna give me this. I'm not gonna cry about it. I'm gonna go full bore with it. I'm gonna get it over. I think
Dude, he went down to
Godfather.
Louisiana and hung out with people who like casted spells on people.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he went full bore with it, which is cool. You kind of got that too with I always think of Cody Rhodes. Like Cody Rhodes had the dashing gimmick worked. Okay, we're gonna give you Stardust for some reason. Okay, well I'm gonna make it work. I'm not gonna cry about it. That worked. You know what I mean? Like there's just certain people that they get a gimmick and it's I don't know, it might make them. I mean, you might be unhappy at first, but like once you find that rhythm, like to me, dude, I think Goldust was so ahead of its time. I actually just saw a match against Undertaker in your house, like in '96. It's just so ahead of its time because it's so mysterious. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, what is Goldust? You know what I mean? Like in obviously '96, you're talking about more probably a more PC time. That's obviously a character that wasn't so PC. So like, it's just cool to see like a that's ahead of his time. B Dustin Runnels is making that shit work. You know what I mean? Like it's just so cool. So
Dude,
so I always say,
I agree with you, man.
Goldust in that time.
I think Goldust gimmick. They tried to do so many different things with. Well, he tried doing so many different things with himself, from being the natural. He was
Yeah.
what he was. His character was what, Zero or something at one point in time.
Uh,
Or
it was. I think it was. Am I thinking of the paper? It might have been 0 or 7.
oh,
7.
I'll be BRB.
Oh man, dude, is it that time?
No, I just have to pee. I'll be right back.
Oh my god, bruh. Well, I guess it's just time to actually formally, I guess, promote our show since Malloy somehow doesn't know our site, even though I say it every single week. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at PML Show. If you guys want to listen to past episodes, we're on Spotify Wednesdays mornings. Steve posts that for us, which is awesome. And then he also every Thursday morning, usually about, well, we'll just say noon. Thursday at noon is our shows on YouTube if you guys actually want to watch it. If you want to see how beautiful Malloy actually looks, go on that tube channel, check him out. And then if you want to see how he does not say our social media sites correctly, you could go on Spotify and listen to that too. Yeah, you good there? You drank the tank? You good?
Yeah. You know, it would have been something if my wife's water broke on the show because that would have been awesome. I could have been like PML show. My water just broke, something like that. I'd make a T-shirt out of it. But
Yeah.
my water just broke.
I was gonna say your water was you were leaking, huh? But
Yeah,
yeah, I think it was a 7 gimmick that he did in WCW, which I don't know what the hell that was, but I think that's the gimmick that I always think that works. I think Mankind made Mankind, or I just said Mankind. I think Mick Foley made Mankind work a lot. Trying to think of what else. I think the $1 Million Man gimmick kind of worked. I mean, that's also an easy gimmick to do, though. To me
yeah.
personally,
I
like
was
that's
gonna,
not a
I was
shit.
gonna, I was gonna say like Kane, dude, like because like we're talking before like about multiple gimmicks. Like you know, he was everything from the Unabomber to Doctor Isaac Yankum.
Yeah,
You know, and then even like the durations of Kane, like Kane the monster, Kane, I am Kane. Like,
yeah, that's
and then
true. Yeah.
and then like taking the mask off, like it's like you know, there's change of gimmicks versus evolution, and that was something cool. I think we saw with Kane, especially McFoley over the years. Uh, and I guess you would say I think the best, in my opinion, is JBL. You know, that straight
I think
change of gimmick.
that could be a complete, yeah. If you're going like, well, I mean, I guess the dentist to Kane's a complete change too. So, but I do agree. Like, I think when it comes to, um, how would I say this? Like mid card to main event gimmick. Does that make any sense? Like, not only
Yeah,
transitioning a gimmick, you're literally transitioning from, all right, you're going to be in a tag team, and then a week later on weekly television, you're going straight to main event. Like, you're not even going to get a secondary, like, you're not in the opening match. Like you're going straight to Eddie Guerrero. That is a huge adjustment that I thought JBL knocked out the park, especially as a heel. I mean, I think some of those boos at first were like, "Oh, you're not ready." Like I always compare that to like the Sheamus '09 title run. It's like, yeah, we're booing you not because you're a good heel. We're just booing you because we just don't think you're there yet. You know what I
but
mean?
then
And
you'd be like, I'm a wrestling
I
god.
was gonna say, but then he has his decent matches with good matches with Guerrero, decent matches with Undertaker, and I think that's when he started kind of getting respect. So, and then obviously you said the wrestling god gimmick, which obviously works. So I definitely do think that he's a little underrated with that, but it's kind of crazy too. Like I can't think of a gimmick. Like to me, I don't understand why people try to do occupation gimmicks. Does that make any sense? I mean, I don't think people do it that much anymore. Honestly, I think more gimmicks are like, how can I say this? Like Velveteen Dream, who obviously just got released, but like that's a gimmick, but it's not a gimmick. Like to me, a gimmick is almost like an occupation, right? Like, oh, you're gonna be a plumber, so your promo's got to be plumber related. Your move set has to sound like plumber tools or plumber like what, like you know what I mean, like plumber terms, like all that kind of stuff. Like to me, that's a gimmick. I guess it's more of a character is what I'm thinking of. Like Kane's a character. Like what's his gimmick? It's more of a character, right? Like he was set on fire.
Yeah, yeah. His gimmick was he
Goldust
was
is
on
more,
fire.
yeah, like Goldust's gimmick. What was it? To me, it's more of a character. But I guess gimmick and characters are kind of like interchangeable. You can kind of say that word for like, but like I feel like the best gimmicks are or characters, whatever. Like I can never think of an occupational one that worked. I can you like I just can't. I'm thinking of like IRS
No,
is probably the best one because he's a tax man. Like and everybody hates taxes, so like that's easy heat. You know what I mean? Like I can't think of one.
Yeah, that's the only one that really like works for me too, because like just the over the top characters, the over the top characters, not the over the top gimmicks, I think get people further in wrestling. Unless you're in the independent wrestling scene, that's the only
That could
time I
be.
think it works, because that'll get the fans to either boo you or love you. But like, and I think that helps your character development if your goal is to get to the to the main stage, because like just for us watching independent wrestling in the Pennsylvania, New Jersey area, some of the funniest guys were but they were getting booked all the time. Was a guy who played a Jew, a guy who played an Egyptian guy,
A
uh, you
crab.
know, a crab. Yes.
A crab. Yeah, exactly. So like
You know,
I definitely agree with what you're saying. Like I think more, but and that's the other thing too. Like it's more, but there's only so far you can go with that, right? So like if I'm going for me, like when we were wrestling, I wanted to wrestle to have 25-minute matches, 30-minute matches, to like wrestle, and like I want crowd reactions during my match for wrestling, not for my gimmick. Even though I went like by prime time, but to me, the prime time was more like a character. It wasn't more of a gimmick, right? Like
yeah,
where like we said, like you saw nationality gimmicks or like occupational gimmicks. I feel like there's a ceiling there. You can't go far with that, no matter what.
you
Like
can't be
even
the
in the
champion.
can't even at the WWE level, like you just there's gimmick ceilings. I feel like, and that's why I consider like a gimmick. A gimmick is you're in this match to entertain for X amount of minutes. I never heard of a gimmick that went main event. And I feel like characters are like, okay, you could have different dynamics with your character, 1 month, and then maybe the next month, because of you maturing or you evolution of the character, like, all right, then you're becoming, like I said, Goldust. Like the evolutions of Goldust are crazy, the evolutions of Kane are crazy, the evolutions of Undertaker are crazy, Mankind are crazy. So like those are more characters, not really a gimmick, right? Like Velveteen Dream, obviously, if he wasn't released, you already saw like two or three evolutions of that, but that's more of a character. And because it's a character, not a gimmick, I feel like that's where you can get that main event sense. You know what I mean? Like you can get that main event feel from them. That's what I
Yeah,
always think of. I can't think of a gimmick like Papa Shango. For all as cool as it looked and scary as it looked, there's only so far. There's only so much you could do with that.
yeah, because at the end of the day, you have to look at yourself as a professional athlete, and that's what they're trying to get off as. Because
Exactly.
it's sports entertainment, but Macho Man Randy Savage is an athlete. Hulk Hogan was an athlete. Ultimate
Yeah.
Warrior, athlete. Cena, athlete. Rock, athlete.
Yep.
Triple H, athlete.
No, you're
But
right.
then there's Duke the Drumster Drosy, nah, gimmick.
What are you
He's
gonna
a
do with
garbage
that?
man. Isaac
Exactly.
Yankem, Dennis.
Dentist. Not gonna work.
Kamala,
Ugandan
weird
giant. Can't you
guy.
might get him in, but I will say if you're gonna do a gimmick that's nationally based or yeah, I guess like language or nationality based. I guess I'm trying to think of. You have definitely a farther route to go than not like an occupational gimmick.
Yeah, because I would say Umaga
Umaga,
was
Iron Sheik, Kamala,
yeah,
like Yokozuna.
because
Like you could always do U.S. versus that.
but at the same
Always.
point in time, those characters developed so much. Like Iron Sheik went from being just I break your back, make you humble. Like that was he's just this really big time wrestler, pro
Yeah.
wrestler, from Iraq, Afghanistan, and then like he becomes, he's working during this desert storm, like that all perfect timing for him. And then the
Yeah.
same for Yokozuna, like he's like this Japanese sumo wrestlers through the course of time are huge, maybe not as big today, but back then it was a big commodity. So seeing that, and then like he even developed into something more than just the sumo wrestler. Uh, kind of was even on like almost a babyface run towards the end.
Oh,
Uh,
you definitely was. Yeah.
so yeah, you have that like Rusev. I'm happy Rusev got away from the Bulgarian brute because for him it's going to work out as Miro. He's and I think because even Sheamus like he's stuck in that Irish gimmick. Uh,
Always. It's weird.
and it is weird because like he's gone on being world champion, and I
He just
guess
can
you would
never
say
win.
Yeah, King of the Ring. He's United States champion now. But everything's like, the Celtic Cross, the Irish Curse, like all this stuff. And it's like, if he got away from that maybe a little bit,
You might have a higher ceiling. I
yeah.
completely agree. I was gonna say something too, like the only gimmick that I could honestly think worked, because I guess that's back in the day that was a gimmick. I feel like that's the thing. Like it really wasn't when he even got the gimmick was Undertaker. Like Undertaker's considered a gimmick because they obviously would make the caskets and all that back in the westerns, but obviously 1990 there was really no westerns. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that'd be more of a Paul Bearer, but Paul Bearer was the manager, so it was kind of cool. You know what I mean? Like so to me that was more of a character that just kind of resembled Death. It wasn't really just he wasn't literally making caskets and putting it out in the ring and all that kind of stuff. But what
And
was
it
your
was cool.
favorite?
What was that? What was
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, it's amazing, like how Taker's athleticism actually was able to bring that gimmick to, to the heights that it was able to achieve. Because if that was someone, who wasn't the most athletic, like, an Ultimate Warrior, if Jim Hedwig played the Dead Man, Hellwig, whatever, Jim Warrior was his last name on the way out. So
there you go. So you just go Warrior if you want.
So, like, if the Ultimate Warrior played the Undertaker, that would have never worked. He would never been able to do that old school. You'd never been able to flip off the top. I think he could have did the slow, the walk, the move set, but right place, right time, right characters, right place, and it is cool. Like just to put a button on the gimmicks in the WWE, and then whatever questions you have, development is key. Just trying to and putting yourself into the character.
Yeah, that, and as long as you have the time to do it. Like I feel like the Undertaker worked because Vince was just so obsessed with it. Where Duke, like you said, Duke the Dumpster. It's like, all right, how much time do I really have for this? Like, you're not gonna make me money. Yeah, exactly. Like Doink the Clown. Like you're like, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? So real quick, that being said, give me your 2 or 3 favorite gimmicks and 2 or 3 most hated gimmicks. Even if we can talk about them, whatever you want, whoever.
Favorite gimmicks off the top of my head. Here's my 3 favorites and 3 I don't like. I was a fan of the Godfather. I thought he was awesome. Very cool gimmick. Val Venus. He was my favorite porn star when I was like 12. And then no, I'm not. No, I'm not gonna
yeah, you were. Yes, you were. Don't lie to me.
Yeah, you know it. Val Venus. Number 2, we have Brazzers. And then number 3, I'm gonna pick. Oh man, Tiger Ali Singh.
Nice. Always a clutch, solid pick. I'm surprised he's not in your hated category, but if you have to think about hated, give me 1 or 2 hated. Meanwhile, while you think of that, I'm gonna go $1 Million Man, Mankind. I feel like Taker, Kane. Actually, we'll just exclude Taker, Kane, and Mankind. Like I feel like those 3 are just. And how about Goldust? I think we both could agree like those are unanimous for, right?
Take them, yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna go $1 Million Man. I feel like that's an overlooked one. I'm gonna go. Is this a gimmick? I like Right to Censor. Looking back on it,
I like that. I think that's a gimmick.
All right, cool. I'm gonna say like they literally like in the heat of the Attitude Era like just shut shit down, and like for a heel group like that's just easy heat. And then I'll do one more. I can't think of one. I don't know. Can't think of one. No idea.
For worse,
I hate the goon, bro. Like that hockey player. I hate sport athletes going into wrestling. Like dressed as a sport athlete. Like Kerwin White when it was Chavo Guerrero, a golfer.
Hated it.
Yeah. Like why the hell are you dressed as a golfer in wrestling? You don't see a wrestler in tights going.
And you were literally Chavo Guerrero 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I completely agree. So like I hate sport. Like that could be a list of itself.
I strongly disliked Akeem, the African Dream.
What, dude? That's like one of the best theme songs ever. With
He
Slick?
was not the African Dream.
Oh, he definitely. I mean, I'm not saying he was. Yeah, I mean, obviously, he's. I mean, unless he was albino, he was definitely more Caucasian than the African Dream. But that
And the
song, dude,
Renegade, I didn't like the Renegade either. So.
I can give you that. I can definitely give you that one. That was a Warrior
And
knockoff, anyway. So.
yeah, and the best WCW one was Glacier.
I definitely cannot disagree with you on that. Glacier, 100%. Give you the win on that one. Or I'll actually no. I got Ding Dongs. That's my favorite from WWE or from WCW. Ding and Dong.
WCW's gimmicks, yeah, WCW's gimmicks are way worse than
Oh my
anything WWE ever produced. So
100%. 100%. But if you guys have any favorite or hated gimmicks, hit us up. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at PML Show. And then again, if you guys want to listen to our shows, Spotify Wednesdays, just search PML Wrestling Show. And then go on YouTube, PML Wrestling Show. That will be on Thursdays. So hope you guys enjoyed your long weekend. I know most of us are all back at work, so get through that work week. I know short weeks are actually worse than a full week. So just get through that work week. Have a nice weekend. Be safe. Enjoy family time. Enjoy friend time. Malloy, you might be a father by the weekend.
I'm hoping, so, man. I'm hoping.
Exactly. I mean, obviously, we pray for a safe pregnancy, delivery, as always. But obviously, we'll keep in touch. But yeah, we'll go from there in regards to next week. We'll see what happens there. So we hopefully, maybe, depending on the delivery of Mackenzie Malloy, right? Is that we're gonna go with the last name Malloy, right? There we go. Exactly. Mackenzie Malloy. We'll see what happens for next week, but if not, we'll get back to you whenever. If we do come back, enjoy your weekends, and you guys will see us on Tuesday at 7 on Facebook. As always, thank you, Steve. We are the Prime Low crew. Robert Price, homeboy, the future daddy. I'm Rich Lopez, Steve.
The daddy.
The producer. The daddy. Enjoy your week. Enjoy your night. As always, peace.